Good evening. When asked to present my line of reasoning for or against ability-based instruction, this is a difficult topic to fully lean towards one direction over the other. But as I reflected more on my personal experiences in the district I work for, my research findings, and the views expressed in the videos we were asked to watch, I feel that ability grouping is not the most effective way to build student achievement. We definitely need to accommodate all student needs, whether it be the gifted and talented, learning disabilities, or students with behaviors, but it is not necessary to teach these needs completely separate for an entire instructional period. When we label students early on, this leaves a stigma that's going to stay with our kids throughout their educational career. When the expectations become lower for others, the increase in achievement is going to be lower. As they move into high school, we start to see that divide of where kids gravitate more towards the vocational setting as opposed to some of the college preparation classes. Ability grouping can also greatly impact minorities, whether it be by race, cultural, or socioeconomic status, which ultimately is a form of segregation in of itself. I like to look at education in our workforce. We, as a teacher, we all have similar qualities and similar goals and interests, which is why we're all teachers. But even within that, we have our own abilities and our strengths. So in the workforce, we have a variety of ages, abilities, aptitudes, etc., just like we do in education. In the workforce, we learn from our peer interactions. We have opportunities to teach others. We share in our learning by creating a collaborative learning environment. This helps to increase social behaviors, increase self-esteem, positive attitudes, and help others to accept a variety of differences. But when we create these homogeneous groups, we take out these varieties of important learning opportunities. In one interesting study I found, ability grouping with writing, it was found when homogeneous groups were created for high ability students, there was evidence of significant growth. It was also found that when high ability students were placed in heterogeneous groups, similar amount of growth was also seen. However, when average to low average performing students were placed in homogeneous groups, little growth was made in comparison to that when they were involved in the heterogeneous groups that saw a higher rate of growth for writing. Overall, it didn't have much impact on the high ability groups either way, but it significantly impacted the lower ability groups. If we continue to assume that high ability students can only have that positive impact on others and low ability can only have a negative impact, then we assume that just because you have low performing qualities that you really have no redeeming qualities to share with others that may impact a learning environment. When the truth is, regardless of your abilities, we all have something important to offer to share in our learning environment. The study also looked at there was more likely some of the achievement not being made in the heterogeneous setting was more likely due to the teacher's ability to plan effectively, to differentiate, accelerate, remediate, and meet individual needs as needed throughout each lesson. So it had really nothing to do with the fact that you had different ability groups. It was more likely based on the actual instruction of the teacher, which is another important fact that we look at the overall physical structure of our classrooms, such as physical space, the routines, effective materials and curriculum, and then looking at the overall process of how the teacher is instructing. Is there purposeful planning and implementation? The quality of interactions among teacher to student, student to student, clearly stated objectives, and multiple opportunities to participate with peers through high engagement strategies that promote higher level thinking, analyzing, reasoning, and being able to make connections to real life and world experiences. If we create ability groups, you will take out these opportunities for that higher level thinking and opportunities to really analyze and make reason. So as a special education instructional coach, I typically work in a majority of elementary schools that are predominantly low socioeconomic status and have a lot of high English language learners. The schools that who've attempted to form ability grouping have not been very successful, and little growth in student scores has been seen. So with that, our district has made some significant shifts in looking at better inclusion practice, specifically for kids with in special education. And we follow a model known as gradual release. It is a district expectation that students cannot be removed from the classroom during what we call whole group instruction within the first 20 to 30 minutes of instructional time. So during this time, the teachers are expected to be modeling strategy and content, indicating how it relates to current learning needs and prior knowledge. When the teacher uses these modeled instruction, it makes learning visible, gives student a concrete mode of expected learning, and fosters metacognition. And this is with all the peers, all ability groups. The next step in this shared portion is the shared portion of our gradual release. Teachers encourage student participation by asking questions to check for understanding. The teacher and the students are doing the work together through extensive questioning, predicting, partner work, response cards, high-level thinking questions. This allows the teachers to check for understanding, reteach immediately if needed, and provide immediate descriptive feedback to students. Students are able to share in their reasoning, which stimulates children to think through their own ideas, approach objectivity, analyze and evaluate the thinking of others, and will help to increase the understanding and steps in process by watching and listening to others speak. If we do ability group and we take out these additional opportunities to hear the views of kids from all levels, you're not going to get that higher level thinking. You're not going to hear that language. You're not going to get that ability to have those conversations at different levels that kids need to learn and process information. So then from there, after these two phases, classes will typically break within those 20 to 30 minutes into a more guided and independent support by creating smaller groups within the classroom to reteach, again, if needed, providing more direct and explicit instruction at students' instruction level. And this is where you'll see gifted and talented move in, special education teachers may be joining at this time, but all this is taking place throughout the entire academic time without anybody having to leave or be grouped into ability groups. We stay with their peers, but we break it down, and kids are given the opportunities to still get what they need, but having those peer opportunities in those first 20 to 30 minutes. And we've seen a lot of success with that. So in the end, my vote is no ability grouping. We need to keep peers together, even if it's in that first 20 to 30 minutes of instruction, and then move on and give the kids the individual needs that are needed, whether it's because they have a learning disability or some behavior supports or it's a gifted and talented. We just still need to provide those opportunities, but without completely taking everybody out of the classroom and not being with their peers. So thank you.